It's recording now. Okay.
And we're recording. Okay,
All right,
great.
good.
So, I'm Jason Stockwell. Hi,
Hi.
everybody.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Was
go
it?
ahead.
Okay, I'm Jit, spelled J-I-T, Jit Kundan.
And Jit's my school director and school executive director here at Learning for Leadership, and he's been kind enough to give me an opportunity to interview him. So, I'm going to go ahead and start. And if at any time you want to go off script, it's totally okay.
Okay,
So,
sounds good. So, Jason, thank you for thinking about the questions ahead of time, interview questions, and you start some of these.
Yeah.
And why don't I start with those star ones?
Yeah.
Okay, so legal issues. You have number 4 starred. What is the most difficult challenge of dealing with a potential legal action or complaint? Well, not being a lawyer is number 1, right? So since I'm not a lawyer, in larger districts, I know we have legal departments. So I would bring this case to that legal department. So in a charter school setting or in a private school setting, I will defer this to somebody who has legal expertise and ask them for their help. You know, this is precisely what I did at my previous job too. You know, since I don't know, I know about it. I will read about it, but I will always ask for counsel. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number 1. Number 2, there are so many different things one has to remember. For instance, tennis and warning. You know, they'll talk about it. You already know about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but just because I know about it, or I know where to find it, does not mean that I know what the steps are. You know? So any legal issues, I lean on the legal department or the legal team, and they guide me, and I take their guidance to heart. So
That means we don't have to write checks, right?
no,
Hopefully not.
hopefully not.
Okay.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So then you have number. Go ahead. But
Oh, yeah, as I say, so I know one of the struggles I have is I like to say yes to everything, and you and I have talked about that.
Uh-huh.
How do you prioritize and delegate duties and responsibilities? Like when you say, this is not something I need to do, like how do you do that?
Yeah. So Jason, if it's okay, if I can go back a little bit, right? So as soon as you become a principal, you're given a school, or you're given a charter school or a public school, you would be part of the hiring process, right? So you would be somewhere in the hiring process. What I do in my head when I'm part of the hiring process, yeah, these are my people, right? I have to be nice to these people. And nice for me, the definition is watch out for their growth, not be that yes person.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? I'm like, I know I hired them, you know. You always have an extra feeling for them, so to speak, for the people that you hire yourself. The way I keep it objective. Are you coachable? Am I coachable? Can I use same coachable language with my staff? You know, if they ask me, instead of me always saying yes, I can, you know, ask them, what else have you tried? You know, instead of just going in there and saying yes, let me just do this. Number 1. Number 2, what I hear you saying is just taking on everything as a school director. One of the lessons for me still are, it will continue to be as long as I'm in this position, Jason. That is, am I going to be mindful of 2 silos here, right? Transactional silo or transformational silo. So a transactional silo is just this. I see, you know, it's very limited. It's myopic. Transformational silo, it's bigger. You know, for my transformation, for the transformation of the school, for the transformation of the staff around me, right? After I'm gone, what types of systems am I leaving behind, and what types of power sharing am I doing, right? So that's what I go for. Is this a pure transaction I have to do with Department of Education or with another principal or with the head office? Something it's under my domain, boom, done. Something that I can share with my instructional team or behavior team, you know, there are all these different teams, you know, climate team, school climate team, it goes to them, you know. So committee, you know, so if there's no committee, right, hey, look, the ground is fertile. So I always come through that lens. The ground is fertile to make a committee now. You know, we didn't have a committee, so you put that person in charge. You're still overseeing it. Remember, you're still holding that high rigor for them. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, yes, I'll do it. Jason, you'll burn out. You know, you'll burn out. It will burn out. And then your product eventually will suffer. First 2 to 3 years, no, you're going to be high on that adrenaline doing such an awesome job,
Mhm.
protecting your staff, protecting your students, right? Eventually will erode you, you know. So you're gonna have that high rigor. Um, Share that, transform everybody, just transform instead of transaction. You know, did that make any sense to you?
Yeah,
Did I
no,
ramble? Okay.
it makes sense. I mean, it's kind of some of the conversations we've had about
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
Definitely go back to that.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So
all
go
right.
to
So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess how do you kind of already went to the next question too,
Yeah.
which was going to be about how do you best communicate
Yeah.
delegating those responsibilities
Yes.
that are normal.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if there's
Right.
anything.
Yeah, yeah. So the two ways to look at it. One is a structure for the entire school or department, and the other is um, it benefits the entire school or it's within its own domain of instructional team or behavior team, even though instructional team will do some pre-thinking and pre-work
Yeah.
and disseminate to everybody. So in that instructional team are you assessing everybody's strengths so that you can give them the work that speaks to their strengths? You know, so in the instructional team, you know, I'll just pick that. In the instructional team, if you see everybody's strength is on teaching and learning cycle, but that's data driven. But the strength that we need on the instructional team is to how to turn this into a reality of a school day of 4 hours and a reality of a school calendar. Then we need that person on board. If we don't have that person on board, then we ask somebody in that team, this is the gap we see, and we need somebody to start growing into that gap. You know, right? Because if all three of you are talking up here, but we cannot make it come to life in a school day or school hour, then that's the gap, right? So I will usually look for, you know, strengths finder. I usually do a profile of most of my staff when I talk with them in the beginning of the year, or when I do check-ins. I go, oh, look at this person, Jason. You know, I remember my first check-in with him 3 years ago, and now when I do my check-in 3 years later, he has grown into these other areas. Now, not only I don't pigeonhole you, right? So I know Jason is extraordinary at data, you know, or deciphering data and telling us what our next steps are. That was 3 years ago. Now he's added on another skill. So when I have another place, a gap for this skill, then I can call you to fill that space, you know?
Mhm.
So giving you that leadership, you know? And so for community-wide, I think it's creating committees. These are the committees we have. We need people to sign up for those committees.
Stronger, deeper team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, number 21.
Yeah. So, what made you decide to go into administration? Because I know you were teaching first, right?
Yes, I did. I taught for a while. I was what is it called? Artist in residence for a while. Then I taught math and science for 6 years. Then I taught AP science for a year. My principals are going to kill me, but they all know this. The reason I went into administration is to protect my teachers from fly-by staff or PD. You can't have a new initiative every week. You can't have 240 initiatives in a school year. You have 300, you have what? 170 school days.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't have that many initiatives. So as a school director or a school principal, I understand everything is connected, but we go deep and wide into 1, 2, or 3 things. PDs, so the PD this year will be how do we make sure that we're not verbose as teachers, we start our lessons together, we end our lessons together, so we go deep and wide in there. So that way I'm not making my staff crazy. So that's number one, not have 240 PDs, topics, and 170 school day year. Number two, I remember a parent walking in and then one of the schools I worked at, and just totally decimating my colleague. And principal didn't do anything about it. Colleague was not in the wrong. Even if the colleague was in the wrong, there are measures to take care of this thing. You don't let people come in and let a parent or lawyer or anybody just come in and decimate a fellow human being. That's another reason. And I hope, Jason, that you've seen in my work that I want to protect my staff, if I may so lovingly say, from 240 different initiatives and from parents or others coming in here and being disrespectful to my staff. And of course, one of the last reasons why I got into this, just like a teacher, why I want to get into teaching, change the world. I want self-sustaining schools where teachers are running schools and administration are purely facilitators, but they also teach. So I did that for a while. I was at a school where I got to teach 2 periods a day, every day.
Okay.
So that was nice. That was pretty generative for me. So I got regenerated every day. But we don't have many of those schools here. A lot of those schools exist in Japan, some in Sweden. But yeah, so that's another hope in my lifetime, to turn schools into more of teacher-driven. It's teacher work, so teachers own the work, and I want teachers to own the schools too. And admins are there as, hey, let me bounce this off of him or her because he or she has done this interface with Department of Education or with the head office or with the lawyers, and they have those lived-in experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that person also teaches, So that's my other goal. That's why I got into it.
That's great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. This is fun. I like
Yeah.
this question.
Okay.
This is actually one I came up with.
Okay.
If you were the overlord of education in this country for a day, what would your top 3 action items for that day be?
Oh
So,
my goodness, that is a fun question.
Yeah,
yes.
maybe. I don't know how much power Betsy DeVos really has,
Right.
but let's assume she has unlimited power.
Yes.
But what 3 things would you do in that day?
Mhm.
What are the first 3 priorities you do to change the world
Yeah.
in education?
Yes. Thank you for limiting that just to education,
Yes.
right? Yes. First, I know we have a teacher week and a para week and administrator week and secretary week and all of that. I think as a nation, we do not respect the profession of education. So, automatic, that will be salary mandates. Anybody that's in education, there's a salary mandate, there's a PD mandate, and then third is creativity mandate. So this is what I mean. So salary mandates, that means every teacher has to have minimum master's degree. And if somebody wants to go into teaching after master's degree, the state or the country says, all right, we're after you. You're going to pay for that master's degree. So that's what I mean by salary, mandate. So we respect that profession, and everybody comes in at a certain salary, no matter where you teach. All right, so we bring the bar up that way. Number 2, talking about PD mandates. Once a week, teachers are not working, whether it's a Wednesday or a Friday, not a Monday. Otherwise, it becomes too long of a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So students are there Monday, Tuesday, then they take a break on Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, they do something creative. I still have a third creative mandate, but one of the ways I imagine, on Wednesdays, kids go off and they do something, service learning for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then teachers are doing real PD, what I mean by real PD is that you get to go deep and you're sustaining both your frontal lobe and your heart, your soul at the same time. So you have a longer lunch, you're a little bit relaxed, and you're going deeper into that subject instead of our PD, which is 90 minutes or 2 hours at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's 8 hours in a week, right? So why not do that 8 hours within one day. And I know other countries do that, and they beat our butt in math and reading and science, right? So that'll be second. And third is creativity mandate. I want every teachers to proudly declare what their creative self is. You know, I really don't know what your creative self is. You know, maybe it's writing. I don't know. So I'm going to take this opportunity and ask you. Maybe it is sports. You know, maybe sports is creative, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it is sports. That's your creative outlet. You know, you get to be creative and play, right? There's a boundary given in each sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a boundary, and then within the boundary, then you problem solve and you get creative.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe it's that, but I still want to know, you know, what your other creative outlets are.
For me,
Mhm.
it's definitely writing.
Writing. See, I didn't even know that.
Writing's, yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that is one like
Mhm.
for me. But for me, like I know my thing is with writing is I lock myself in a room.
Uh-huh.
Like so, I mean, I've gone years without writing
Uh-huh.
at times, and
Uh-huh.
like, but when I finally get to release and
Uh-huh.
do it,
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
it's a wonderful thing. It's
Yes.
the closest I've come to it is either
Yeah.
playing or coaching football, and
Uh-huh.
then you know, training and running a couple marathons. Like
Sure.
those marathons, like are very creative in the sense that like you are managing your body trying to manage your body for a very long time.
Yeah.
But, like those runs, that's where I solve my problems and the world's problems.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's just when I come back, the world's problems don't want to deal with my answers always. My problems are fixed. Just the rest of the world needs to catch up.
Yes, I hear you.
So, yeah.
So now that I know a little bit more about your creative
Yeah.
self, right? So in that sense, if I were your principal, you know, doesn't matter. Let's just say it's a larger district,
Mhm.
and I look at, oh, Jason, this is your 9th year, so you know automatically the 10th year is a paid sabbatical for you.
Okay.
So then you get to do this creative stuff. Unleash
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Unleash it.
Yep.
It's related to teaching and being a learner yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we. You remember, you gave me this magic wand. If there are 3 things I could do, you know. So
Yeah.
So we do not take enough sabbaticals, or we do not give real sabbaticals to our teachers anymore. It used to be, you know. So when you look at, what was it called when a person say, I take you as my mentor. What was that called? Oh, that was a name.
Apprenticeship?
Yes,
Yeah.
apprenticeship. Thank you. So yeah, apprentice, and then they took a break. You know, everybody took a real break. I'm not talking about summer break. Yeah, that's a little bit of a break, but where you get the whole year, you know, and it's paid, so you don't have to worry about it. And you do something creative, and that when you come back, you know, you're more energized, and of course you give more back to the community. So those are my top 3 things.
Fabulous.
All right, thank you.
All right, so back to more really serious stuff. All right, what's your philosophy? What's your philosophy of discipline in the building, or your approach to behavior, student behavior?
Yeah, teach it. You know, so if you look at the word discipline, you know, discipline is to be a disciple. We don't teach it. And that's where I always go, oh, this is a discipline matter. Here's my chance to teach this kid, because this kid has not been shown the way, or this kid has been shown the way 22 times, and I know 23 is the magic time when it's going to start clicking for him or her. So to become so I become a disciple of, you know, so we become students.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the philosophy of discipline is, if you wrong something, you have to write it, and let's learn from it. And so you have to do something about it. It's not a lecture. There's some thinking, of course, asking of questions. Hey, why did you do this? What made you do that? How do you think the other person felt? You know, so going after the empathy too, right? So now that the empathy is taken care of and the person gets it, you use the hands to hit him. Now, tell me, you know, so I'll just, you know, use my daughter's name. So Simran, you know, just pretending that she's in my school and she's not my daughter, Simran. So you hit another student today. Now, tell me last time you used your hands positively. You know, and so Simran has to start thinking, oh my God, I thought it was in the principal's office, but a principal's asking, when was the last time I used my hands positively? And every time I ask students like that, they get stumped. They say, I don't know what to say. Well, do you help out with dishes? Do you help load? Do you help anybody move? Do you write? Do you open the book? Did you pick something up for somebody? Those are all different ways of helping people, right? So you know how to use your hands in a good way. How could you use your hands in a good way to the person that you hit to repair this process, to repair this injury?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll give him or her a high five or a hug, or maybe I'll greet and I'll wave, and I'll also say I'm sorry, but I'll then re-practice, retake, right? So I'm going from mistake to a retake, right? So mistake that's a mistake. We get to do a retake. That's how I see discipline. So it's a bunch of retakes, man, for everybody, for adults. Are there some bottom lines? And yeah, for certain behaviors I won't tolerate. Yes, any type of violence. You bring any type of weapon, or somebody asks you to stop and you just pummel the heck out of somebody. No, I'm gonna go to the board and ask you be expelled, right? Of course, I'm in that mindset, but I haven't had to deal with that yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'll do in that situation.
Yeah.
But I know I have my own bottom line, right? Yeah. But all the other behaviors we have to teach them, And if parents don't teach them, I don't go, oh, parents don't teach them, so I suspend them. No, I can still suspend them, but I get to teach them. So discipline is, hey, look, I don't know how to do this. Woohoo! The kid is crying out, I don't know how to do this. Somebody teach me. So we as a school, or I as a principal, get to teach them that. So mistake to a retake, and discipline is, let's become a student and learn something. Okay.
All right, just a couple more questions if you have time.
Yeah.
All right, so in terms of teacher retention, what
Yeah.
are some of your best strategies and practices for teacher retention?
Yeah, I'm their biggest cheerleader. You have to be their biggest cheerleader. It's easier to be their biggest cheerleader when you've hired them, right? That goes without saying. But when you haven't hired them, then how do you become their biggest cheerleader? During check-ins, hey, tell me what you're proud of, or when I walk by a classroom, or I'm going to come into your classroom. Is that okay? How do you want me to help you? So not coming in to observe and evaluate you. I'm going to come in here, put me to work. How can I help you? Oh yeah. It took a while when I first started this, about 8 to 9 years ago. No, I really want to come in and help you. But you've asked me the third or fourth time. Yeah. Do you have small groups? So tell me how you run your literacy circles or your math groups. Is there a group that I can be working with and lighten a load maybe once a week? So cheerleader, not only applauding them in front of everybody and writing them notes. So that's what I've done in the past: write them notes, give them candy, that kind of stuff. The surprise, but also be in the classroom and help out, and also always ask them what their goals are, and help them with their goals. That's one of the magic. And for hiring process, I always ask this question: are you coachable? So give us an instance last time when you got some feedback, and how did you react to that feedback? So that gives me clear indication that if they're coachable or not. If they're not coachable, so this is my personality type, right? If I sense a person is not coachable, I'm most likely to not hire that person. When I go, oh, this person is coachable, then I know they are growth mindset, and they will see their kids in growth mindset, because kids are learners, right? So if somebody is not coachable, they have this fixed mindset. No, then you're done learning. And so they see their kids as, oh, you should have already learned. It's too late for you. You can't learn now. Just a gone case. You're out of here, right? So, and I've seen people write others off because they themselves were not coachable. And another question, you helped us write our interview protocol too. Do you want kids to like you? The reason we ask that question is not about engagement. It's about asking the person to think, do I like kids? Do I like kids as an adult human being? Because you're going to be in front of the kids all the time in your classroom. As a principal, you're going to be in front of 300 kids all the time, kindergarten through 8. So if I was a good middle school teacher, I better learn how to be a good kindergarten teacher too. Because as a school principal, I have to deal with kindergartners too. And if I don't like kindergartners, principalship's not for me. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So for retaining, so even when I'm looking for principals or admin positions, do you want kids to like you? What I'm really going after there is the person to say, yeah, but relationship's more important. But I'm also looking for in the answer, do they like kids? And if you don't like kids, why are you teaching? Or why are you principal?
Yeah.
Right. So to retain them, coachable is a question I asked when I hired them. Also, so if they've already hired, I've had these conversations with a few times, just a few times in the last 13 years. It seems like you really don't like kids. We have a strength in economics, we have a strength in computer science, maybe a job where it's online, because you really don't like them here, maybe some other type of job, And as a matter of fact, one of the persons said, you know what, Jit, I needed to hear that. I love media, and I'm 58 years old or whatever she said, and I've been wanting to do that for a long time. And here I'm trying to do another drama group and trying to get the camera going, but I'm so frustrated, and I want to do certain things to the kids that's not legal. Right. So yeah, even though you like kids, but your patience has worn out. So the person went into film industry.
Okay.
Yeah, So being honest and real with them as a human being, being honest and real with them about their growth in the interview and after you hired them. Always with the mode of cheerleading. So that's all in the domain of cheerleading. Okay, you probably know most of this stuff, Jason. You'll be a good principal.
Hopefully.
Yes, you'll be, yeah.
All right, how do you handle conflicts? So I don't know
Yeah.
if that's staff to staff or...
Yeah.
Or,
Staff to staff, staff to parents, staff to kids, whatever that
Staff
is,
to
right?
parents, yes.
Yeah. Conflicts, staff. So let's say, I'm seeing conflict with me, or I see conflict with the staff. I don't want to start with myself. If I perceive there's a conflict from staff with me, I'll just say, hey, something I said, something I did. I said hello to you, and maybe you didn't hear me, and this is the second time it's happened, so that's easy, right? Another example is person just comes up and either a horrible principal or your horrible teammate or whatever that is, I let them have that, Once that's done, hey, look, you came back to me yesterday and you gave me some feedback, so I have to remain objective.
Yeah.
I have to give that time to myself. I go, okay, oh my God. Woo. So I have to go home and tell myself, no, I'm not those things, So I have to go back and be the cheerleader again. See, back that thing of cheerleading, of leading them really, but cheering them on too at the same time while I'm leading them. You see, that same thing plays in my head and my heart. Yesterday you gave me some feedback, not in a very nice way, That did hurt my feelings, the way you delivered it. The content of it, let's look at it, let's unpack it. I have growth to do, sure. What is it? Let's talk about that. So the delivery, so next time, please, I don't have to be heavy-handed about it. So as soon as I get to model that, that's a discipline again. So I've just now shown my teacher how he or she can handle a conflict like that with a parent, with another colleague, or with a student. So I'm always looking at how can I build my capacity and everybody's capacity at the same time, no matter how trying the times are. So it goes whether it's staff to staff with me with a parent. I always say, hey, look, we're going to hang up now, or we'll talk later. I'm not going anywhere. We want to resolve this. Why don't we come back to it later? So it's the tone and it's the messaging itself. So I go after it. I do not hide from it. Yeah.
I do like kind of I go home and I can get away from it and come back, because I know, like in coaching, like I've always, at the parent meetings, I've always told the parents, like, 24-hour rule. Like, if you approach me after a game, especially if we've lost, and you want to say, you should have this, like when you're in the crowd and you're saying things, it's fine. But if you need to do this, or if you have something, you may not be happy. I might be less happy than you.
Yep.
I need 24 hours. And then like tomorrow, tell me what I did wrong.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
But if they, at the time, if somebody's like, you did this, you kicked my dog, and like the last thing you want to do is have to explain to you. The last thing I can do is respond appropriately and calmly in the moment.
Right.
That's just not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, good. That resonated with you. You see, so you already have a practice within you.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. You keep looking over there. Oh, that's
Yeah. He's gonna be on camera and he doesn't know it.
Okay, he doesn't know.
You're being recorded.
I have one of y'all moments.
Yes.
Yeah, we're recording it.
Well, you can join too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're gonna get uploaded and shared with my entire college class.
I'll just come over here. Are you able to switch hats over, or is this?
Oh no, this is.
No, I'm interviewing him for a class. Like, what's up?
Now I'm supposed to come in.
All right. No, it's all good, Derek.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It's all part of
You
school,
want to
right?
come and say hi to the camera?
Sure.
There you go. So everybody now knows.
Yeah. This is Derek.
Sorry for interruption.
The door's always open.
Okay.
But yeah. If it's something you don't want on camera, then like I'll be
Okay.
It'll-
Just when you get some time, you stop in.
Yeah.
Basketball freely.
for sure. As soon as I'm done. But yeah.
Okay.
Okay, where were we? We are
40,
at
number 40.
Yeah. So okay, can you tell me about a time where you tried to do or implement something and it failed, and how did you respond?
Oh, that's a good question.
Wonder if that's taken from our interview protocols.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. So next week I'll be talking about this at a staff development. It's called the power of yet. So I had to go home and remind myself, or go back to my desk and say, "Yep, we are not there yet." So there's a gap. So there was a big gap in my head and my heart. I thought the gap was very small, and our staff can get there. It was a teaching and learning data cycle. So we needed to change our curriculum rhythm. Our teachers were used to, they do this in August, they do this in September, but the data cycle was saying we have to switch that up, and so we have to redo some of the assessments. My staff wasn't there yet, so it failed miserably. All of a sudden, I was not that protector. Right? So here's a protector of, I'm going to protect the classroom time, protect my teachers. All of a sudden, I wasn't there. Even though people were not mad at me, I could tell something was not going well, or it was not taking the uptake. I knew my staff; they had a great uptake, but for this, the uptake wasn't there. It was heavy lifting. I'm like, why do I feel so asthmatic? So heavy lifting here. I had to go back and think about the gap, and I had to remind myself the power of yet. 3 little alphabets, Y-E-T, right? 1 little word, yet. So when I said to myself, oh, they're not there yet. So what are some next steps? Brought the instructional team in. This is what we're after. Yeah, we know what we're after. So this is what we perceived. And after every PD, day-long PD, we did Q&A. We asked reflection questions. Was this PD relevant? Why was it relevant? What would you go back and implement right away? What was not relevant? What would you need to see different next time, right? Yes. And every staff member knew. They don't have to put their name on it, but give us feedback. And the feedback was, wish we had known this a year ago, because we're set for the year. Our lessons are done. We have our experts to come in, talk certain day. All this was lined up. So the ILT team said, well, you know what? It seems like when we go through this feedback questionnaire here, most of this is around literacy and around social studies and around science and around music. Nothing is around math. So why don't we take this and just say, for this year, we will just do this with math. And math, you could, even though it's foundational, but you could flip-flop a little bit. Mm-hmm. That was well received. So everybody got to practice this new teaching and learning cycle, but that's data-driven. But the assessments, interim assessments, there were 6 of them instead of 3. And so this was not, so how we have MAP and NWEA here, we can use 6 of them too, but it wasn't for district reporting or state reporting. Teachers had to do it for the assessments came directly out of came out of this teaching and learning data outfit. I forget their name, who they were. So whatever themes our teachers were teaching in math, they would upload that, and assessments would be created to see if there's any gap in the learning, right? Like Dufour, right? It says you have to be clear about what you want to teach, and then you have to be clear about your assessments, right? You know, did they get it? And if they got it, what's your next step? Now, if they didn't get it, what's your plan for that? Now what, right? So I wanted to do it all across the board, and my team, right, was so clear in saying, Jit, look, we leave other domains as they are. Let's just start with math, and let's just ask a couple teachers to pilot math. So we went in and say, hey, we will just do math. Who's willing to pilot math, you know? So Marcy's hand goes up, then, you know, Mary's hand goes up, then, you know, somebody else's hand goes up. Next thing you know, people are looking around, they're like, well, for math, I'm the only one left. No, I want to try it too. You know, so that was healthy peer pressure, but we were not going after that. You know, we truly wanted to see if there were any early adopters, you know? So this is a page right out of, who's that iPhone guy, the Apple guy, what's his name? Steve Jobs, yeah, rest his soul, right? Early adopters, right? He always depended on that, you know, so that's the lesson I learned, a very important lesson, you know. So instructional team is the early adopters, of course, but do we have some others in the building that can create momentum and get traction? You know? So hopefully I answered the question that it was a miserable failure. I had to go back to my desk and curl up and cry, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, and then the team helped me, even though I wasn't not seeing it clearly. There's a way out, and we were able to find a way out together. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, and I think last question.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, what was the toughest decision you've had to make as a school leader? That, you know.
Yeah.
The toughest.
Yeah.
There might be ones that are in that area
Yeah.
of privacy that you
Right.
don't want to go to, but just
Right.
the toughest one that you can share. You know, like if you had to, man. Oof.
Yeah. Oh my God. And this was my first or second year as a principal. I think I was at Wyndham, or was that my last year? I had to suspend a kindergarten kid on day one. That still sticks with me.
Really? Yeah.
How do I look at this kindergartner and call their parents up and say, you have to come get your kid on the very first day? You know, so I brought the kid out. The kid was playing in my office. Everything was fine. I'm thinking, like, wow, how do I deal? What message am I giving to the rest of the classes for the rest of the year and to the kid? Yeah. That was the toughest thing. So what came out of this, when I called, mother said, I was just waiting for that phone call. Because in 2 hours into preschool, usually the phone rings. And my daughter has almost made it to the end of the school day. Yay!
So the parent was actually like thrilled that it took that long. Wow.
Yeah. So the kid was playing. So the parent comes in and said, "What happened?" So I can share this. So this is what happened. This was during nap. You know, so our kindergarten teachers was teaching them the structure for the afternoon after lunch. When you come in, these are your small carpets.
Yep.
So you pick up a carpet. You don't have your own carpet. Is in line. Any carpet you get, that's your favorite carpet for that day. Sure. You don't have a carpet for Jason or for Jit or for Drew. None of that. I'm just going with J words. None of that, right? So you pick up your carpet and you lie down. And this kid was upset that the kid didn't get the carpet, right? So eventually, the kindergarten teacher and the other helpers were able to get the kid calm. So the kid gets up while the others are sleeping. She stomps on kids' bellies all around the classroom. She stomps on their bellies. And we know for kids, the organs are right here.
Yeah.
Until they get older, right? I go, oh my God, no. That's really violent, you know? Maybe you stomp a doll, or maybe, you know, no. She was not only the carpet that I can see that if she went, oh, Jason's got my carpet, I'm gonna go stomp him, right? No, all around the class.
Oh, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. So the parent says, well, how about this? I come in, so I said, yeah, right about 2.5 hours into the day. How about I come in, and we'll come in with an apology, and she'll make an apology to everybody, and then she's here for the afternoon, and if she's not doing well, she'll take them out. So that's what we did, But the thought was suspending on the very first day of school, or a kindergartner.
Because I could see where that, oh, do you remember your first day of school? For some of us, yeah.
Yeah.
I got suspended.
Right.
What?
Right. Right. But I think for the kid, it was just school, like another school. Yeah.
Right.
But I know for other kindergartners, I didn't want them to go home either and say, how was your first day of school? I know our kids in our country are very resilient. They probably won't go home and just remember that. They'll remember other things too.
Yeah.
They'll just go, yeah, there's something happened to me in preschool or whatever, right? Yeah. So there was a lot of cleanup, So I'm like, hey, Jeremy, what's his name? So he and I, very tall guy, I don't remember his name now. So we both wrote down what exactly we will tell each parent. So we're not ad-libbing separately, right? It's
Yeah.
the same message. So we made the script. School was done. We called them all, or we handed them the script. First day of school, that was the hardest one, man. Nothing else, letting go of teachers or hiring or somebody leaving at the middle of the year, somebody brought in a knife. None of that. Somebody, digital age, showing naked pictures to each other, whether it's adults or kids. No, none of that is as hard as that kindergartner. I think I called the district office too, and they're like, yeah, Jit, we're trusting you, and we know your work. So yeah, we'll back you up. Suspend that kid.
Go for it.
Go for it, right? So good for them, right? That they
Yeah.
had my back. I think I had to call my wife too, but anyway. So as soon as I called a parent, I was more of a wreck. And the parents like, oh my God, wow, she made it almost till the end of the day. Yes. Yeah, so and there are many other stories I can share too, but that's one of them. That falls into toughest, that I can be transparent about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we're kind of at the end, so
Okay,
unless there's any advice or anything else you want to share, I know I've kept you for 42 minutes.
Oh, really? It's been 42
Yeah.
minutes? Wow.
So
Okay. No, it's all good. Yeah. I think you breathe deeply naturally.
I do.
Yeah. So that's the strength already you have. So the advice that I would have for you, every 10 years, there's a new expert out there. There's a new person who puts out something very similar to profile yourself. Some call it strength finders. Some call it NSGIT, whatever, you know what I'm talking about, right? There's different ways to profile yourself, what your strengths are. So find out what your strengths are, and then work in those strengths, and whatever your opportunities for growth are, just pick one, and then work at that. Because if you just work out of that lens of growth to do everything, you're not gonna be generative. So once again, about delegating, right? So delegate, where your strengths are, other people's strengths are, but also find something to generate yourself where you can grow.
Yeah.
Just one thing for 2 to 3 years. For 2 to 3 years, right? Yeah. So that's and usually people who are not deep breathers, I do ask them to go deeper. As a principal, you have to take that breath or two. And go, what's my strength? What do I need to do here? Or do I just need to say, hey, I'll come back later? Let's come back to it later. Or do I have something that'll be useful for both that person and yourself? So, as I said to you earlier, the reason I wanted to do this classroom piece with you is to give a reminder and to do a check on me. Where do I stand? So it was good to hear myself too. and go, okay, I know what my growths are. Process, yeah.
You just talked about how you come from beginning to now.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you for your
Yes,
time and
yes,
for doing this. And
yes.
I'm going to
Okay.
shut this
All
off
right.
and